Welcome back to the National Defense. It's Randy Miller. Listen, Memorial Day weekend is always special here at the National Defense. And number one is to remember those who have fallen. But there's a whole other subset that we talk about on this show a lot, and that's veteran suicide. And it's a ridiculous number. Everybody is trying their best to figure out a way to reduce those numbers. And we have something for you, I think, that's going to be very important in terms of awareness of that particular situation and hopefully to relieve some of that. And there's a new movie out called The Keeper. And it's a true story of one Army veteran, George Eshleman, who, challenged by his own demons and searching for answers, set out to hike the entire Appalachian Trail while carrying 363 military name tapes from military members who committed suicide. I mean, just that alone. And hiking the Appalachian Trail is no trivial undertaking, even for experienced hikers, which George was not, but it could take up to 7 months. The Keeper is directed by Angus Benfield and Kendall Bryant Jr., and Angus is also starring in the movie.
So y'all current military or are you vets?
Army all the way. Trail name's Bacon.
I'm Army. Trail name's Peanut.
I'm a Marine. Trail name's Mini-Me. How about you?
Well, I'm Army, but I don't have a trail name yet.
Oh, don't worry. Your trail name will find you.
I was always told never to quit anything till tomorrow.
Amazing, isn't it?
Couldn't think of a more beautiful place in the world.
What are those names on your pack?
That's my family there. I made a promise to some very special people. These name tapes don't leave my side. Trying to raise awareness. Hopefully try to find some kind of solution.
If you would reach just one person, you're the keeper.
George shall ever be known as Keeper.
Keeper of the names.
I've been called worse than that.
I had a bad dream.
What are you hiding?
One moment can dictate your entire life.
We're all gone.
People shouldn't start what they can't finish.
What the hell are you doing?
We trusted you to carry these memories.
What I do is my business.
You're never alone on this trail.
Angus joins us as well as George Eshleman here on the National Defense. George, how are you?
Doing good, brother. Doing good. Beautiful morning.
So listen, when you watch this movie, which is based on your life, how did that feel, number one?
Kind of like I'm stepping outside my body watching what I did, and it was a shock to me to actually see the mistake I was about to make. And there was a lot of emotions running around. But yeah, it was kind of scary because we went to each location, obviously, and
right.
To watch these people work, it was scary at first. Yeah.
Yeah, and Angus, great job on the movie. Great job on your performance. It's a heavy movie, man.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I mean, obviously it's a story I really connected to, even though I don't have a military background or anything. But I understand the struggles of mental health and how important that was to tell that story. Obviously playing George and carrying those name tapes. I mean, we actually, as you can see in the picture, that pack was the real pack that, George used, and the name tapes are all the same and everything. And when George and I first met before we shot the film, he handed that over to me, and I was holding those name tapes. Was just there was a lot of weight on those things.
Right.
I mean, it was quite full on. So it's a weird experience as an actor because you're playing someone and who's with you, but the sort of that sort of world of acting sort of dissipates and it becomes more real. It's very real. The emotions are very real. It's a very heavy burden to carry, but I was very honored to be able to do that.
You're English?
No, Australian.
Australian. Well, I mean, because we don't hear any of that in the movie, so credit on that too, man. That's surprising. Great job on that.
Thanks.
We're talking to Angus Benfield and George Eshleman here, the National Defense, the film The Keeper, which comes out on Memorial Day and Memorial Day weekend in theaters. And when you were George, first of all, what was it that made you want to do what you did?
Let me back up. I'm going to grab these here. You may want to see these. Play into why I did it. I got a call on April 2015, and my best friend took his life. And for all those years before that point, 24 some odd years, I didn't realize I had PTSD because I'd suppressed it so much, and I was good at doing it. When I got that call, something snapped, and got on the trail, and people were sending me name tapes, these are the real ones. These are the ones I carried. They're in the movie. Been 7.5 years holding them. They're family to me, but got on the trail, and my intention obviously was not to come off the trail. But in my process of doing all that stuff, that's what basically saved me. So as I got, almost to the end of the trail, I thought that there's a message in this, and it's a message that I could go home and forget about my hike and go live my life. But something happened on the trail to me that was so powerful that I knew what I experienced, other people could experience and save their lives. And that was really important to me. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Well, number one, thank you for your service, of course, and for an effort like that. Wow. I mean, the movie, as heavy as it is, and it talks about a lot of the things that we don't talk about in the military, sexual assault, suicide, obviously, depression, things that happen in the military that don't get a lot of play. But at the end of the movie, I felt very hopeful. I thought it was a great message of hope that other people could take away from that. Angus, is that kind of the intention?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's like when we have the song playing at the end, it's like the one foot in front of the other. I mean, that sort of sums it up, that the process of hiking, the process of moving forward, and that's what that's what we're hoping. I mean, it's a very cathartic experience. There's a lot of emotions, and then at the end, it's quite impacting. But then, as you keep going, right. There is definitely that hope, and it goes beyond the story too, because George is here with us now, and that represents the fact that people watch the film. What's happened to he's here and he kept going, and so that's what that's exactly what we hope to see is giving hope in such a sort of hopeless state the world can be, and individually it can be as well. Even if everything's going great in the world, individually people can feel incredibly hopeless. So that's all we can, hate to say the word over and over again, but that's all we can hope for.
Sure,
when people watch
sure,
the film.
Absolutely.
It feels exactly what you felt. Yeah.
And George, I want to go back to something that you said that you didn't realize you had PTSD, but then when you did, you got good at kind of keeping that from everyone. I think that happens so much more than we know. And, you hear a lot about, when talking about mental health, you need to talk to people. You need to, and sometimes even talking to people doesn't bring it out of them, right?
Right. It doesn't. And I guess that's a hurdle that people have to get over. When I say that I was good at suppressing it, the feelings when I came back from Desert Storm for the first 2 or 3 years, I was married for 2 years, divorced, couldn't keep a job, and it built up slowly. So I was able to handle the small depressions and put them back, because I didn't want to. Didn't want to come to someone else and say, "Hey, I need help," because in my sense, I didn't. They were so small. But once you keep putting small things in that box becomes really heavy,
right?
And now you're really scared because you're like, okay, I got to keep filling my box up. I got to keep filling it. And at some point, that box is going to break, whether it was the call that I got or even something, that's as small as, and I'll tell you, her name was Erin Van Bibber. I carried her husband Michael Van Bibber. I still have her Facebook message that she, August 30th, the entire hike, she was messaging me every single day. One of the messages was so positive, her and her son, and she was so happy for the hike, and we were carrying her husband's name. And the last message she sent me was big bear hugs. Hope to see you, soon. And September 1st, I got a call. She shot herself. That's how quick it turns. And going through that while I was on the trail, and also Michael Stangelo, there was just so much stuff that was piling on me, but everything that was already out of the box, I was like, wait, how much worse can it get?
Right.
I'm out here on the trail. I'm walking this, and but what really helped is that I knew that I wasn't alone. From my wife talking to me on the trail to meeting other hikers that were very interested in what I was doing. So all the feelings that did come up of is what I'm doing, is it working? Well, basically was answered every time that question came up in my own head, because other people were looking at those tapes and they were surprised. And when you tell them it's 16 days of suicides, they're really surprised. Right. It's almost disgusting when they look at it and go, "My God, I had no idea."
Right.
So yeah, it was difficult, and I still struggle. I have a pharmacist at the VA that is wonderful, and he has me on the right concoction of medicine, and I don't do a lot of medication. Mine's more of the trail, but if people get out there and focus on getting better, they've got to take whatever makes their life good that day. Even in the film, Nicholas Assad, who plays Wade Baker, he mentions about Keeper with some pills, and he says, "Don't neglect those. I did one time, and it didn't work out too good." Well, Wade Baker got off his medicine, and his was suicide by cop. So, yeah, the medicine, if you're getting on it, just get better with it. Stick with it and have support, and realize that you're not alone, like at the end of the movie. So.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you say that, George, because you hear so often, don't get on the meds. Don't get on the meds. You get hooked on the meds. But what you're saying is the right concoction there, if you're trusting the people who are giving it to you, and they know they've got the knowledge and the wisdom that they need, then that's going to sustain you the right way it should, right?
Oh, it does. Yeah, it's Dr. Johnson of Tennessee Valley Healthcare. I've had psychiatrists with the VA, and he's done more for me. And a lot of times just listening to someone is all that person needs. That's all I need but he can draw out of that. And, I'm not on any narcotics. Everything I take is, mirtazapine, doxepine. So it's not addictive. And it doesn't make you into a zombie.
Right.
And it took 1.5 years for him to get the medication just right.
Sure.
But it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you're testament to that, George. Hey, are you a Tennessee boy?
Georgia.
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 I grew up in Knoxville, and so very familiar with the Appalachian Trail. And so when you decided to do this with not a lot of hiking experience, just logistically, why didn't you just go around the block? I mean, the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, well, my friend and I knew him since high school, actually middle school. We always talked about hiking the Appalachian Trail, because it was just the thing to do,
right?
Back in the middle and late 80s. I basically went out there to leave his name tape at the top of Katahdin. And logistics wise, I flew up to Millinocket, and at that point it was a one-way trip. So logistics wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
The problem was after I didn't follow through, thank God, the realization of, okay, now you really do have to walk home. So
where's the plane? Where's the chopper?
Yeah, there's that in the movie too. That's saying, but and one part of early on in the movie, Angus says, one step at a time.
Yeah,
and that's very important. not only for the trail, but in life, one step at a time, and don't quit anything until tomorrow. And if you can keep putting off quitting until tomorrow, you're not going to quit. And the same with, trying to get better and going to the VA and committing to, everyone has a stronger will to survive than to die. And we just have to pull that out of people. And it's, I understand veterans talk to each other more than they talk to civilians.
Right.
But there's enough, everybody has a friend.
Right.
Everybody does,
Right.
And veterans can find them. So they got to just come out of that shadow and just, accept it. They went through a really tough time at basic to combat. And it's like, you survived all that. Right. You can survive this.
No, it's a great message. It's a great message. Great movie. Angus, great portrayal. And like you say, it's a tough thing to portray somebody who's right there on set and has lived that life. So thank you both so much for coming on. I just want to encourage everybody to see The Keeper. It's in theaters this Memorial Day weekend. Thank you guys so much, and thank you for the great message of hope.
Thank you for having us.
We'll be right back here on the National Defense.